Welcome to Module 11, DICOM and HL7. Again, the material is for general purposes only. Do not rely on it to make some decision, and always consult the laws and regulations. DICOM stands for Digital Imaging and Communication in Medicine, and it is both a standard and a file format. The file format extension is .dcm. What is the history behind DICOM? In the past, the different manufacturers had different methods to create the images, and they were not compatible. So imagine you have devices from different manufacturers. The images are not compatible each other, and it is very difficult to have them all at once or in the same if you need to replace some device with another. So some 40 years ago, the National Electric Manufacturers Association and American College of Radiology developed the standard and called the standard DICOM. Unlike many other standards, DICOM standard is freely available and everyone has a free access to it. Because there are constant changes in the standard, it was decided some time ago there will not be versions assigned to it, and the current version is the only version. The DICOM contains term modalities in the spoken language. Very often the devices are called modalities, and this is widespread practice, but technically speaking, the modalities are the technologies. One of the terms used in the standard is instance, and one instance is one file. For example, one X-ray image is one file, or one slice in a plane from a CT or from MRI is also one file. And several files are grouped in one series. For example, in CT you know there are several series, and each of them contains several files. And you have several series grouped in one study. And for example, one patient may have one or several studies. The DICOM is a file format that usually is said to contain two parts. Actually, there are four. But we are speaking about two. Very often the preamble is omitted, and there is one very short part called DICM. This is the way to indicate that the file is a DICOM. When I say the preamble is omitted, I do not mean that it is not presented in the file. I mean it is omitted when speaking about the file parts. So the first important part is the part with the data elements or tags, and the second part is the part with the pixel values, actually the part that contains the image. These data elements that are called in the standard or tags as they are known, they may contain some patient data, for example, the patient ID, the patient's name, the patient birth date, the address, the insurance plan, the smoking status, the pregnancy status, even the allergies, the religious preferences, and so on. And there may be some information about the clinical trial. Um, of course, if there is a clinical trial, for example, the trial sponsor, the trial protocol, the trial site, and there are some study-related data, for example, the referring physician, name, address, phone, operator that performed the images, the technologies, the institution where the images were performed, the device with the device ID, etc. The contrast, date and time of the study. There can be some information specific about a given modality, for example, field strength for the MRI, echo time, echo numbers, and so on. So you see there are many such data that are very, very private, so be very careful with it. Some tags are mandatory and some are optional. And there are some tags that are mandatory, but their value can be null. There is an option to convert these DICOM files into other files. Most often, these are JPEG or TIFF files. As it was already said, this conversion can be either lossless or lossy, and some information can be lost during the conversion. In order to keep data private, there are some methods one may use, for example, encryption of the files, secure connections to reach the files, and to reduce the risk of leak of information. Also, one may use anonymization or pseudonymization. What's the difference between them? The anonymization is complete removal of any information that can identify the patient, for example, ID, name, birth date, address, or whatever. And pseudonymization is to put some fake data. For example, of the instead of the ID, some generated code, name to be faked, and so on, so on. And this is done in order to be able to identify the patient later. Many picture archiving and communication systems have built-in automated and manual anonymization options, and there are some standalone applications. Some of them perform free and easy removal or substitution of the information from the DICOM files. So everyone should be very careful with these files and be always sure that what are the applicable laws and regulations. One disadvantage of the DICOM format is that an executable can be included in the file, and especially in the preamble. This is 128-bit space, and there can be executable hidden in it. And this executable can be some malware. You should know that there shall not be any executable in the DICOM file. So once you see some, this is an indication about something wrong. Usually most of the DICOM viewers remove this information and just do not display it. In normal cases, if you open the file with a DICOM viewer, you shall not be infected. But you have to always take some measures, because everything can happen. So be very careful when you receive some files from non-secure locations, because the malware can even change the example. HL7, the main advantage of the HL7 is that there is only one communication type and method, but there are some disadvantages because there are some different versions and there are differences between them. And the second disadvantage is that the learning is very difficult, and this is not open as a DICOM. There is one Commission recommendation from 2019, and it recommends HL7 for cross-border exchange of health information, laboratory results, hospital reports, imaging reports, and recommends also DICOM for medical imaging. Thank you.